Hello, everyone. I'm Sean.
This is Hoon?
We are the Courageour Frights, and we just got done watching The Suicide Squad.
Yes.
So, not to be confused with Suicide Squad of 2016. This one
Yeah.
is The Suicide Squad.
Yes. They have the in front of it. So
Yes. And a lot
makes it new.
changes. Yeah. He had a the. It's like it shows how much a definite article can change the meaning of something.
Yes.
Because this is a completely different movie from the 2016 one.
Yes.
So the 2016 one is a very uneven film. A lot of people have a lot of problems with that movie. And
even they used up one of the best villains they could use. They used it up already in Suicide.
Yeah.
And the Enchantress.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. Oh, this one has like a top tier villain too. Like you get Starro. It's like every time they have the Suicide Squad, they go up against something that's like way more powerful than they should be able to handle.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first movie, in case people haven't seen it for some reason, the first movie I thought was very uneven. Editing was all over the place.
Yeah.
Like the first 40 minutes is just like a mess.
Yeah. Like I had to show those like little, what was it, like music videos or whatever. I remember that
montage or whatever for every character's backstory or like.
And that was like the first 40 minutes.
Yeah, it just jumped around all over the place. This one is much more focused on what it wants to do. It does some really clever stuff with like time and like it's not a linear story just like the first one, but this one does it in like cool, clever ways, whereas the first Suicide Squad was just a mess.
Yeah.
Because this one isn't linear either. It's like it goes to a certain point, then it's like 3 days earlier, 8 minutes ago, or something like it'll jump back and around. But there's reasons for it, and it lines up really well when you actually see what James Gunn is doing. It makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of like how when they do that, and also it's not like long segments either, so it's just kind of like a short enough segment. They Quibi it to where you can actually watch it.
Yeah, pretty much.
If everyone remembers Quibi from 2020.
Nobody remembers Quibi. But it'll like something will happen and then it's like, oh, we have to back it up to explain what this thing is that is happening. And they did that in Birds of Prey as well. So like as much as people complain about Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie or whatever, that did seem to influence this a little bit. Although I think most of this is just James Gunn.
Yeah, this was definitely a James Gunn production for sure.
Right. And this is basically James Gunn completely unhinged without studio interference. So, like, Guardians of the Galaxy is James Gunn light. This is like what James Gunn really is, pretty much, is Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And so a lot of things in this is going to probably shock a lot of casual superhero viewers. Yeah. So I could see this movie being very controversial with some people. I know I've seen some reviews where people had problems with it. Mostly because of the like over the top violence, gore, and like really dark sense of humor. That is James Gunn. And as somebody who's followed James Gunn since the Trauma days, it's not surprising to me that this is what this movie's like.
I think his last superhero, Brightburn, I'm pretty sure had the same kind of issues, or not really issues.
Brightburn was. Yeah, I think he was a producer on Brightburn, and it wasn't his like cousin.
Yeah, it has I think it was Sean Gunn or something. Like it was like someone in his Gunn family, but
yeah, somebody
you definitely tell had a very similar style. That is for sure.
Right, and Sean Gunn's actually in this movie twice because he shows up for a very, very brief scene in person, and then he also played Weasel.
Yeah.
Which is also a very brief cameo role. So I guess we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about this movie. We have to get into spoilers because, like, as people probably already know, a lot of characters die.
Yeah.
Which is kind of par for course for Suicide Squad. It's kind of in the name.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was funny about the first Suicide Squad is only 2 people died in the whole movie, so it wasn't much of a Suicide Squad. This one flips it. There's only like a handful that actually survive. So I would highly recommend this movie. I thought it was one of the better DCEU movies.
Yeah, that's for sure. I do agree with that.
So I guess before we get into the spoilers, we just want to give our full recommendation for the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
If you don't have a problem with like over the top gore and
gore,
like,
violence,
that kind of stuff.
And that type of stuff.
A lot of language. Basically, think
definitely a hard R.
If you can handle Deadpool, then you're okay with this. I think Deadpool and Deadpool 2 are probably your best comparisons to this of something that's already established.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
And then getting into the spoilers, Deadpool 2 is actually a very good comparison because there's a scene with Deadpool's team in Deadpool 2 where he gets that team together and then they just all die like 2 minutes.
That's pretty much it.
That's basically how this movie starts.
It's almost like it was like paying an homage to that because it felt like that.
Yeah, because it's like you have Team A and Team B. We don't know Team B even exists. We're introduced to Team A. So like the first like 5 minutes is introducing the first team, which is like Michael Rooker as Savant. There's like a couple other characters.
There's TDI there, whatever his name is, like the action figure man.
Oh, what is that guy?
I think it's Nick Fallion.
TDK, yeah.
Yeah, TDK.
The detachable kid, yeah. Yeah, it's Nathan Fallion, or the guy from
Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake, yeah. One of those Nathan Jones. Yeah, but it's the guy that was in Firefly, yeah, Firefly. But yeah, TDK is in it. Harley Quinn is on this team. Rick Flag's on this team for some reason. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, it's like they wanted to kill him off, I guess.
Amanda Waller must secretly hate him.
Yeah.
Captain Boomerang is on this team. So
Mongol's on it.
Yeah, Mongol, whatever. And my personal favorite, Javelin, who doesn't get to do anything, but Flula Borg's my man, so gotta shout out for Flula. But he was really Oscar baiting that death scene there.
Yeah, it did seem like that.
So anyway, as you probably could guess, that whole team dies. Like they get onto the beach and everybody dies in like 5 seconds, except for Harley Quinn and Rick Flag.
Yeah.
Like the two obvious. They do kill Captain Boomerang pretty quick too, though, which was a little surprising.
Yeah, it's like it seemed like he'd be a big part in this movie, and he just like dies.
Yeah, because those 3 were in the first movie, so they kill off like one of the leads from the first Suicide Squad. You knew Harley Quinn wasn't gonna die that early on, like that. And Rick Flag, like I said, I don't know why he's on that team.
Yeah,
and then Team B lands on another part of the island, and you find out that Team A was just a distraction, pretty much. And,
yeah, because that one's where all the marquee and stuff shows up. It's like on Team B.
Yeah, Team B is actually the team. Team B is Idris Elba as Bloodsport, which is basically the same thing as Deadshot.
Yeah, he basically was Deadshot. It's obvious they were one. If Will Smith would have came back, it'd just been like, oh, there he is.
They kind of make a joke in the movie too, because they have John Cena as Peacemaker, and he has the exact same backstory as Bloodsport. And he makes a joke about it, but then you can also make the joke that Bloodsport's the same thing as Deadshot.
Yeah.
It's
actually, all the same character.
Bloodsport is an imitation of Deadshot, and John Cena's character is an imitation of the imitation of Deadshot.
Yeah. He's like the Aldi brand.
Yeah, he's Aldi brand with his toilet seat on his head.
Yeah.
So you got those guys, King Shark, or Nanaue, who's played by Sylvester Stallone, is definitely one of the starring roles here. Like he's kind of the show stealer for most of this stuff. And he's kind of the Groot of this.
Yeah, he's definitely Groot on this one.
Of this franchise. And then Ratcatcher 2, who I really like that character too. She was cool.
Yeah, I was surprised how good she was actually. She was actually a pretty decent character in the
Some of the
movie.
more emotional scenes dealt with that character.
Yeah.
And
it kind of goes through her backstory, and it's like way
yeah,
emotional compared to everyone else.
Compared to everybody else's, like hers is actually like legitimately moving, especially the end. And then she has her rat with her, Sebastian.
Yeah,
likes to wave at people.
Yeah, give them leaves and stuff.
Yeah. Sebastian is the MVP of the movie. If you want to know who the real star of the show is, in my opinion, it's Sebastian.
Yes.
And also we get Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
And Polka Dot Man is a character for the comics. These are all actual real characters. But I'm pretty sure James Gunn changed the backstory quite a bit.
Yeah, I was like, is that actually his backstory?
I don't think so.
Or like, what exactly is Polka Dot Man? I don't know if it's. I don't even know. Still,
Polka Dot Man's backstory, except back it up. Ratcatcher 2, her ability is that she can control rats, and it's something her father taught her. Ratcatcher 1, who is played in flashbacks by Taika Waititi, and he invented some device that can control rats, like
it's like a little orb thing that controls.
Right.
Controls them somehow.
So she has control of rats, which is very important as the story progresses. And then Polka Dot Man, his ability, well, his backstory is that he had this very abusive, insane mother who worked at Star Labs, which people who watch the Flash series on CW will know all about Star Labs.
Yeah.
But it's basically just like a science institute type thing. And anyway, his mother worked there as a scientist, and she was obsessed with making her kids superheroes. So she intentionally exposed them to interdimensional viruses.
Yeah, to see what happens.
Which apparently killed most of her children. And then the survivor is Polka Dot Man. And now he's inflicted with this virus that creates these like polka dot looking like growths all over him, and then he has to like vomit up polka dots like twice a day or he'll die.
Yeah.
But he also uses them as a weapon, and it's some of the gorier scenes in the movie are actually the Polka Dot Man stuff, because it'll like disintegrate people.
Yeah.
It's really ridiculous. But in the comics, it's literally a guy that just throws polka dots at people, I think.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
It's like TDK. Like we talked about TDK earlier. He's the detachable kid, and he actually does the power that he has in the comics, where his limbs are able to detach and like float around.
Yeah, float around. You can just
really
like,
stupid.
Yeah, like punch people and stuff. And they just shot his arms. They literally didn't even shoot him. They shot his arms that were floating.
I love when they announce what he is. He's TDK. He's like the detachable kid. Then his arms pop out of their sockets and slowly float to the enemy soldiers and just like mildly inconvenience them. Yeah. And Harley Quinn's just sitting there watching this, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I know. That was pretty hilarious.
That was great. And then they're shooting the arms, and Nathan Fillion's like lying there on the ground, writhing in pain, like a half a kilometer away.
Yeah. They didn't even shoot him; they just shoot his arms.
Shooting the arms. It's just a lot of crazy shit like that. Like, there's a lot of dark humor, which
I think that the first couple, like the opening scene, is like pretty funny. It's pretty good.
Oh man, I thought most of the movie was funny, but yeah, that opening scene is ridiculous. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of the Deadpool 2 scene where like the whole team gets killed in like horribly gruesome ways.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, that happens. Oh, we forgot Weasel. Weasel's the first one to go. He jumps out of the plane and lands in the water. And nobody bothered to see if he knew how to swim, so he's immediately drowned.
Yeah. Like he's already dead.
He's like dead 5 seconds into the mission. And then Michael Rooker's character just panics and runs away and gets his head blown up with.
Yeah, he gets his head blown off. I think the one guy like Blackguard or whatever. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I forgot his name. I think it is something like that.
Blackguard. It's a guy that plays on SNL all the time, so he's like one of the main guys there.
Yeah, he's like sold them out or something, I guess. But Waller apparently wanted that to happen anyway because she set that team up as like the scapegoats or whatever. So.
Yes, as the death team.
As the distraction. So I don't really understand what was going on with that. But yeah, that he betrayed them, but Waller apparently knew anyway.
Yeah. It's
like, oh well. She just used them as a distraction, and then the other team is the main thing. And
that's why it doesn't make sense that Rick Flag is at that team.
I know, like she really hates him for some reason.
Yeah, it's like the death team.
Because he was like the team leader in the first Suicide Squad. Although he's much more likable in this than he is in the
Yeah, it seems like in this movie he definitely made him a lot better. Maybe that's why he was trying to kill him off from the David Ayers team.
Yeah.
David Ayers.
I've actually heard a lot of stuff about that David Ayers Suicide Squad cut, and a lot of people are like, you don't need to see it. It's not that.
Yeah, it's like, why do you need to see that? It's like, they can't possibly make it better.
I think got 45 more minutes of Jared Leto's Joker, though.
Great.
That's what I want.
Him putting his hand up to his mouth, and it's like, do that weird laugh that he does.
Yeah, the thing was like,
yeah.
Like sounds like a dying penguin or something.
Yeah.
He also sounds like you know what he sounds like? It sounds like he's doing an impersonation of Jim Carrey as the Mask.
Yeah, he does kind of have that same sound.
Because he's like Jared Leto's giving his own original rendition of the Joker, and somebody stop me.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, why does he sound like that?
He's the Mask.
It's like, why are you doing that? But thankfully, off topic, he's not in this movie at all.
Yes.
There's always a thinly veiled reference to him that Harley Quinn mentions at one point, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Because the Birds of Prey movie largely deals with Harley's breakup with the Joker and all that kind of stuff, so we're past that. So they did a whole movie talking about that. So now the team gets sent in because the president of this country, some country in like South America or like the Central America,
like Caribbean
or something. Yeah, because it's an island, so I guess it's like in the Caribbean somewhere. They happen to have a facility called Jotunheim that houses something called Project Starfish, and Project Starfish is supposed to be some top secret scientific experiment kind of thing.
Yeah. And
this country used to be close to the US, but it was ruled by this dictator family. And then the military had a coup and they killed the whole family and took over the country. And now the country's very anti-American. So
yeah, like I think the generals and like the other, it's like they had like a president, and then the generals, they're all like really anti-American.
Right. So now they send the team in to go into Jotunheim and destroy all evidence of this Project Starfish because it could be traced back to the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And that's a very real plot because it's kind of like a typical CIA garbage where like what happened in Iran and all these other countries where you have like a dictator who's pro-American gets overthrown and all of a sudden we're like, oh no. And then we cut ties with whoever the new government is in power, but we completely ignored all the horrible shit the guy was doing before that was pro-US.
Yeah.
So they do kind of play into that. America does have a history of that, so they do kind of fit that into the storyline. Makes sense enough. And so they go in to try to find starfish. They have to get a scientist. I can't remember the name of the character, but it's played by Peter Capaldi.
It's the Thinker or whatever.
Well, yeah, the Thinker. Yeah, the Thinker's his nickname or whatever. But it's played by Peter Capaldi, who people who watch like Doctor Who will know. He played the 12th Doctor, and he's done a bunch of stuff in the thick of it as Malcom Tucker, which is a great political comedy series where he just swears constantly. And, and so he's a Scottish actor from Glasgow. So I've watched a lot of the stuff he's in. He's his typical self in this. And they need to get him to get access to the facility. But before they can get to him, they find out that Harley Quinn is still alive because she got captured by the military. And the president takes her to his like palace or whatever. And that's kind of the part where the movie starts to get derail a bit for a moment, because I wasn't quite sure what they were doing with the Harley Quinn president thing at first.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what they were trying to do.
Because it does kind of slow the movie. Like the movie kind of screeches to a stop with this weird, like, Pretty Woman style romance thing.
Yeah, because I don't know what was the point in that, other than like maybe exposition or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does serve a point later on, but
yeah,
like, there's this kind of drawn out scene where the president has Harley Quinn captured, brought to him, and then he like has this romance scene with her or whatever, which is like really weird and out of place at first.
Yeah, because he's like a romantic or something.
It turns out that Harley Quinn is like greatly admired by the people of this country or something because of her like kind of
being like a villainous, I guess, and like rebellious.
Yeah, it's not really the villain part that people. It's more of like rebellious type stuff, or there's a term for it. Be like anti-government kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why he meets with her, but then I guess he legitimately falls in love with her, and there's like this mini romance scene or whatever. But then he reveals his plan is to use that Project Starfish thing or whatever against his political rivals and anybody who opposes him. And then, if people don't agree with his plans, then he's going to go after them and their families and children and everything else. So then Harley shoots him. And that's where that ends. So that plot thread was she assassinates the president of this place because she swore to herself that after the Joker, she would kill any potential boyfriends that had red flags.
Yeah.
And killing kids is kind of a red flag. So that's where that plot ends up. And then she gets captured by the general that was in allegiance with the president. And that's what sets up the rescue mission that they go off on a side quest to go save Harley Quinn before they can go get the Thinker. And that one's kind of a funny scene because one complaint I heard about this movie that I don't agree with at all is people said that they portray Harley Quinn as just like really stupid in this movie. And
I don't agree with that at all.
The sequence we're just about to talk about, she kills all the guards in the place. She like breaks out herself, kills everybody in the building, and manages to escape without any assistance from anyone.
Yeah.
And then they come, she sees them sneaking around trying to rescue her, and then she goes out and she's like, "What are you guys doing?" And they're like, "Well, we're going to rescue you." She's like, "Oh, you still can. I can go back inside."
Yeah.
But that part was really funny, but it proved that Harley Quinn is way more... I think the thing with Harley Quinn is everybody underestimates her, including the fan base, it seems.
Yeah, it's like, because that seems like just her character. It's like just how she is, because she's kind of like just kind of loony.
Right. Her
just kind of does whatever she wants.
Yeah, her character is constantly underestimated by everybody in the movie, but it's also underestimated by the audiences, apparently, because they never seem to understand what they're doing with that character.
Yeah, that's Harley, because she does whatever she wants.
Yeah, it's like she acts crazy, but she's not stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I've already established, she has a PhD. She's not stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, she does manage to get out on her own, and then they go and get the Thinker, and they find him at, like, a nightclub type place. And so they need him to get into Jotunheim. They get into Jotunheim and they discover what Project Starfish is. And it's a alien entity that was captured by the US and brought into that place for experimentation. And that's what the Thinker's been doing for like 30 years.
Yeah.
and it's Starro from the comics, which is kind of like a giant starfish monster with kind of telepathic abilities that like launches a bunch of starfish, and the starfish like latch on to people and control them. It's like zombies. And I think in the comics, you can always just pull the starfish off of somebody and then they're no longer under control. But James Gunn decided to go a step further with it, where it obviously has little like tendrils or something that probably go right into your brain. And it showed when they took one off of somebody's face, it like tore the guy's face off.
Yeah.
So once you're hit with one of these, you're dead, basically.
Yeah.
So Starro, you could kind of guess where it's going to go with this, because they try to blow up the facility. It goes wrong. Starro gets loose.
Yeah.
And in the process, the Thinker tells Rick Flag that what the real story is, about how the U.S. government is the one behind it and all that kind of stuff. And they have all these data files. And then so Flag wants to take the files and show the public what is really happening.
Yeah, he wants to show like the American government being how they were.
Right, which causes Peacemaker, John Cena's character, to fight him.
Yeah, because I think he was kind of not really planted, but I guess he was like the backup in case Rick Flag did that.
Right.
Which I guess that maybe that must be why she had him on that team.
I think she actually is trying to get rid of Rick Flag, because Rick Flag is like actually good.
Yeah, now think about it. Yeah, that's probably why, because they wanted to have him get killed.
Right.
He wanted to kill him, so she's like gets rid of.
Because he's like a war hero, but he's kind of a Captain America type guy.
Yeah.
Where John Cena's like evil Captain America. He's like that dude in Falcon and Winter Soldier, U.S. agent.
Crimson Chin.
Yeah, Crimson Chin, U.S. agent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, where it's like he'll do whatever it takes, regardless of what the costs are. What. Whereas actual Captain America, most times was at odds with the U.S. government. So
he kills anything, even children, and
he follows John Cena follows the Anakin Skywalker protocol.
Yeah,
he doesn't just kill everything. The men, but the women and the children too.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, it's like the Suicide Squad is split, because you have some of these guys who are like legitimate psychopaths, and then you've got other people that are just mixed up in a bad crowd or whatever, and they're at their heart they're good.
Yeah.
So it's like you have kind of a mix of these people. And that was one thing people complained about, was how horrible the Suicide Squad is. And it's like, it's a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, they're in a maximum security prison with... She even makes a point that they have a bad record of people dying in prison.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And it's like, there's that one scene in particular where they go and they kill everybody in the village. And people were complaining about that as being like irredeemable or whatever. And it's like, these guys are all serial killers. What do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, and they didn't know. Waller just said he got captured.
Yeah. And some of these
literally said that. Like, they got captured. Didn't say it was part of the other team. So it was like,
right. Yeah. They didn't give him any intel. So it was
like,
but
saving them.
And some of these teammates, they don't make... Well, they do make fun of that in the movie, too, that they don't research their team before they put them together. Because, like, Idris Elba's character, Bloodsport, is like deathly afraid of rats, but you have that character Ratcatcher too, who all she does is control rats. Like, that's a great team up.
Yeah.
And Nanue, King Shark, he's just like trying to eat people. He's like, he almost eats Ratcatcher too at one point.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have any control over him. It's like he's just this big dumb guy that doesn't know any better. Like I said, he's like Groot.
Yeah.
Except for he's a big shark, and he's voiced by Stallone.
Yes.
But he says nom noms a lot.
Yeah.
And new dumb friends. And then he guffaws, according to the HBO Max subtitles.
He guffaws quite a bit.
Continues guffawing. Thank you, HBO Max subtitles. You're always what I need in my life.
Yes.
But anyway... Yeah, so the team's a whole big mess. Half the team is like truly evil people, and then some of the other end of the team are actually like good-hearted people.
Yeah.
So it's like Ratcatcher 2's there because she tried to rob a bank with her rats or something. Like she hasn't actually like hurt anybody.
I think she says they got her because they considered the rats like weapons and
The
like
rat's a weapon, yeah. So it's like he just stole stuff, which Bloodsport's daughter also stole something. So it's like he kind of has like a fatherly relationship.
Father-daughter relationship with her.
With Ratcatcher 2, which kind of is I guess the emotional core of the story.
Yeah.
And then you got some other people too that are like at their heart are good, like Harley Quinn. She usually ends up being good in the end and stuff like that.
And Polka Dot Man, even though he's a psychopath, he didn't seem like he was a bad
No,
guy.
Polka Dot, Polka Dot
Man all the
time. Polka Dot Man was actually a good guy too. Like he was the only one who cared about Milton.
Yeah, I was like, who's Milton? There was like, everyone's just like, who's Milton?
Who's Milton? I don't think I've ever met a Milton before.
Yeah, it's like he's been here for like the longest time.
Milton's like the driver that they have, and for some reason,
like, why is Milton here?
I know, like Idris Elba's like, why is he here? What is he gonna do? Some reason the random driver decides to join the team and gets killed. He reminded me of that guy in Deadpool 2, also the dude with the mustache or whatever, who just signs up, who has no powers whatsoever, and he just like signs up, for fun.
Great.
Dies horribly. But yeah, that was what was going on with all that craziness. And then so Rick Flag finds the data and is gonna send it to the press. Obviously John Cena can't allow that, so they end up fighting. And probably the most surprising thing in the movie is that Peacemaker kills Rick Flag.
Yeah,
which I think that was the big shocker if you haven't seen like stuff coming into it or whatever, because I think a lot of people thought Rick Flag was gonna definitely make it because he was the lead in the first movie.
Yeah.
So especially after they make you like him in this, or the first movie, you didn't really care that much.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, and then right after that happens, Bloodsport shows up and kills Peacemaker. Or at least shoots him anyway.
Yeah.
So that was another big surprise. So it's like one surprise after another. Although we find out later that Peacemaker's alive, because there's a Peacemaker series on HBO Max, so he has to be.
Yeah. They couldn't kill him off. It was like a series. It'd just be him in a hospital bed or like
yeah, pretty much. And during all that stuff happening, Starro escapes.
Yes.
And as the trailer shows, we got a kaiju up in this shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Starro goes on a rampage, destroys the city, and Waller tells them that their mission is over. They need to go back home. And Idris Elba can't do it because he sees a kaiju and he knows he has to cancel the apocalypse.
Yeah, that's pretty much. That's him.
So his gun turns into a Jaeger and then he destroys the kaiju.
Yeah, pretty much.
I seriously thought for a moment there his gun keeps like adding on, getting bigger and stuff. I thought it was going to turn into like a cannon for a robot or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, he declares that we're canceling the apocalypse. So then he turns around, goes to fight Starro, and all the other team members turn around. Waller flips out, and then one of the staff members smacks her with a golf club before she could start popping people's heads.
Yeah.
And there's a big fight with Starro. It's actually longer than I thought. Like, it was a very drawn out battle with Starro.
It was actually pretty big. Yeah, it was probably like at least 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, the whole movie just turns into a kaiju film, and it literally does, because the caption pops up, the Suicide Squad versus Starro the Conqueror, like it's like Godzilla versus Destroyer or something. So I thought that was kind of funny. James Gunn just kind of gets to make a kaiju movie in the middle of the superhero movie.
Yes.
And Starro is basically unstoppable until we discover the one thing that can beat Starro is a lot of rats.
Yeah.
Like millions of rats.
Yeah, million, like the whole town, like the whole island's population of rats.
Yes, so then we find out that Ratcatcher 2 actually is the most important character because that's how they beat
Yes.
Starro. Like a bazillion rats devour Starro.
Yeah, and then like Harley Quinn had to jump in it, Starro's eyeball, like the gigantic eyeball.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Right, I think it was Harley Quinn and the rats that did it because I don't know if the rats could have broken through that.
Yeah, I think
The
they
eye.
needed Flula Borg's like javelin.
Because
So they
Flula
like
Borg's javelin is like mystical or something. It's
yeah, I
like
wasn't kind of
super
sure.
powered.
I wasn't sure if that actually like just a regular javelin or just like
Oh no, because he never gets to use it.
yeah, he literally gets shot like 2 seconds in and just gets shot.
And he tells Harley that she needs to carry it for, and then he dies, and we never find out what that's about. But anyway, his javelin's more of a character than he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harley jumps off a building using the javelin to puncture the eye, and then
Yeah,
a
it
whole
goes
bunch
right
of
to like the cornea or something. And then,
yeah, and then they're like floating around inside Starro because Starro, I guess, is like full of fluids. And
yeah, like the rats go and swim and eat up
yeah,
his cornea and stuff or whatever.
they like eat his heart or something. I think that's what
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I thought it was like his retina or something. I don't know.
I think it was his heart that they're eating because it looked like valves and stuff that they were.
I think it kind of
going
like
into.
breaks through the back of the eye or something and went right to like whatever that was back there.
Yeah, because I think there's internal organs. Because I think Starro is just kind of a bunch of liquid with internal organs just floating around inside.
Yeah.
So that's how they do it. But Harley's the one that breaks the eye open, and then the rats follow her and devour like its nerves and organs and stuff. It's a really gruesome death, basically.
Yeah.
But it basically proves, and Taika Waititi shows up for his one speaking line that's like the most emotional thing in the movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much. He's like the emotional character in this whole movie.
You got like this really stirring music playing in the background as he's telling you about how the rats are like the most loathsome and lowest of all creatures, and if they have importance, then we all do.
Yeah.
And then as the rats kill a kaiju and save the world.
Yes.
And Sebastian led the charge because he's got his little vest, so I saw him swim past Harley.
Yes, and then
So
whatever that thing is in the back of his eyeball.
Yeah, Sebastian ate the heart that's apparently in Starro's eye.
Yes.
And then he became possibly the second most important rat in superhero history.
Yes.
Because people always forget the MVP of Endgame is also a rat. Because if that rat that's in that van didn't step on the button to release Ant-Man from the quantum realm, they would never have been able to stop Thanos.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, like, the MCU, the entire MCU was saved by a random rat. And now this country of, like, several million people or whatever they said in the news was saved by a bunch of rats, like a billion rats. So rats are the most important of all creatures.
Yes, pretty much.
What I've learned from superhero movies.
Yes.
And that is essentially the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, the whole movie.
So if you didn't want to watch the movie, because no one is watching this movie, it tanked in the box office.
Yeah, it tanked in the box office, even though the Rotten Tomato scores is like 91% or something.
Yeah, 91 critic score, 84% audience score, but it only made like 20 million or something opening weekend.
That's the wonders of streaming services.
So you can watch this on HBO Max. That's what we did, and continue the downfall of cinema.
Yes, pretty much.
Or you can just listen to this and not watch anything and really screw it up. But,
yes, pretty much.
Yeah, it's personally, I think the only major reason why it did so poorly is the HBO Max model.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why.
And it kind of makes you wonder how sustainable the streaming service model is.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with movies in particular, I would think.
Right.
It's
like
kind of hard. It's like
There's programming that's made specifically for the streaming service, like the Peacemaker show.
Yeah.
But I don't know about this same day release stuff with streaming and theatrical movies. I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think they should make movies in the theaters first and then put them on streaming services maybe like after a month or two.
Right, and that seems to be what Disney's doing going forward, which
Yeah.
Disney's got its own interesting situation. In case people don't know, Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney because of Disney Plus.
Yeah, because of Disney Plus and her movie and a contractual dispute, which is actually like I'm almost 100% sure Disney broke the contract.
Oh, yeah.
That's almost guaranteed if they did, just because of what they did. So
Disney's like, well, we paid her $20 million. She's just greedy. And it's like, yeah, but you owe her a lot more than 20. It doesn't matter if she paid her $20 million. You owe her what you owe.
Yeah, exactly. Because she would have made a lot more money in the theater, almost guaranteed.
Right. So, like, if she is contractually owed more money than that, it doesn't matter how much it was.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, it kind of goes to show that the streaming HBO Max thing's probably not a sustainable option.
Yeah, I think it needs to be one of those things where they need to split it a little bit longer, maybe just put in theaters for like a month or two and then go right to streaming services after.
Right, which is other services at Paramount Plus or something is doing.
Yeah, Paramount Plus does that, but it's like that. They had that weird thing where it's like, or is that Paramount? One of them has that weird thing where it's like they show up for a couple months and then they take it off and then comes back for another couple of months. I forgot which one it was.
It's weird, but I think Paramount Plus is the one that started the 45-day model.
Yeah, that's probably more.
And I think that's what they're going to do going forward. And Disney Plus, the future MCU movies aren't going to Disney Plus. Like Shang-Chi is the newest one, the next one coming up, and that's a theater-only film.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a Kevin Feige thing because Kevin Feige does not want Marvel movies on.
Right. Kevin Feige sided with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, he's always said that even from the beginning. He's like, these movies are made for theaters, not exactly for home.
So I would say almost guaranteed that the reason why Suicide Squad did so poorly is because of HBO Max.
Yeah, most likely.
Because its international drop-off is really good, too. So it's getting good word of mouth. Like some countries that got it already had it like a week early. The drop off was like 25. They went down 25% or something, which is extraordinarily good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
A 25% drop off is ridiculous. That's like unheard of. Usually movies have like a 50% plus drop off in the second week.
Yeah.
So that shows people went to see it in the theater and then they told their friends about it or something. And then they went to see it the week after.
Yeah.
So there are what little people are going to see it are actually the same number, roughly the same number of people are seeing it the following week. So that's a good news. And it did get really good ratings.
Yes.
So like I said, personally, this is one of my favorite DCEU movies.
Yeah, this was pretty good.
I don't even know which ones are better. Personally, I like Man of Steel and I like the Snyder cut. But if you're not a Snyder guy, then this might
probably be. This because or maybe probably this. I would say this.
I would say this. I can't think of another DCEU movie that was as well crafted.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe like Aquaman, but I would still go with this. I'd probably still go with this.
Yeah, Aquaman's good, but Aquaman's very much just kind of a generic run.
Yeah, just like your superhero. That's like your standard superhero movie.
Yeah.
This one actually has some character to it.
Yeah, and some people think Joker's really good or whatever, but Joker's all right. It's not my thing really, but
yeah, Joker is decent. I forgot about Joker. I actually forgot that's a DC movie because it's like a movie.
It's just a movie. Yeah, it's not even like a superhero.
It's like a movie with just like about mental health
with references to Gotham. It's basically about it. So I think that's going to do it for our review of The Suicide Squad.
Yes.
So we would definitely recommend this film for anybody who wants to see it. Make sure you watch the one with "the" in front of it.
if there's no music videos playing in the beginning, then if there is music videos playing in the beginning, then you went to the wrong one.
If you see Jared Leto, you know you've gone
Yeah.
the wrong path.
Yeah, you went down the wrong path for sure.
All right, so that's gonna do it for this video, I believe. And every week, or at least every week, every other week, whenever we have time, we also try to do a podcast on this channel, so you can listen to us talk about random movies and video games every week. So that's just the Courageour Frights podcast. And if you like and subscribe, you too can feel the strength welling within. Hate to see it.
See you.